Between the calm, blue waters of the Mediterranean and the heavy, restless pull of the Atlantic Ocean sits a stretch of land that feels like a meeting point of two different worlds. Europe kind of leans into Africa here. Ocean air mixes with dry desert wind, and those lush greens slowly fade into dusty yellows and cracked earth. Everything overlaps, bumps into each other, and then settles into something of its own, the Iberian Peninsula. Life here doesn't really get an escape route. With water on three sides and the mountains of the Pyrenees closing it off on the fourth, species have been stuck here for millions of years, out of sight from the rest of the world, just shaping, adapting, and dialing themselves into this land in a way that nothing else quite does. And it's in this exact region where one of the rarest, most elusive felines on the planet lives. Bigger than a house cat, smaller than a mountain lion, but carrying a level of fury and stealth that goes toe-to-toe with the top predators of the feline world. This agile hunter, just like the rest of its family, is built on an instinct of pure violence. With ears sweeping the air like silent radars, once it locks onto its target, it can break into sudden bursts of speed that leave almost no time to react. Cover ground in seconds, and clear gaps from one rock to another, almost like it's flying. And above all, it can set up an ambush so clean, so perfectly timed, that for its prey, there's barely even a moment to register what just happened. Meet Europe's most underrated killer, the Iberian Lynx. Lynx pardinus, or commonly known as the Iberian Lynx, pardel, or the Spanish lynx, is a medium-sized wildcat native exclusively to the Iberian Peninsula. Being a specialized endemic species for roughly 1 million years up to today, these rare cats have remained tied to this same region, once ranging a bit wider across southwestern Europe, but now restricted to the dry and scattered scrublands and woodlands of Spain and Portugal. Its name comes from the Greek meaning to shine, or light, referring to the reflective nature of its large, keen eyes. Capable of spotting something as small as a mouse from around 250 feet away, its low-light vision, sharpened by narrow vertical pupils, allows it to stage precise stalks and ambushes during the twilight hours of dawn and dusk, when its prey is most active. Even more so than that, with its large, pointed ears that can swivel up to nearly 180 degrees like finely tuned satellite dishes, and are tipped with signature black tufts that guide the sound inward, this apex predator can pinpoint the exact direction of a sound and pick up the faintest rustle from as far as 1,000 feet, and even through thick underbrush. This stealthy cat is closing in on a rabbit that's frozen behind a branch, having already sensed the danger around it. But the feline stays calm, tilting and swiveling its oversized ears like precision tools, locking onto the rabbit's panicked breathing and narrowing down its exact position. Then it advances from behind, slow, controlled, and completely silent. Even across this crusty layer of straw-like dead grass, its padded, retractable but lethal claws barely make a sound, keeping every step practically buried. And just like that, it's on the rabbit in a single sudden burst, ending it with unsettling ease. While their normal day-to-day hunts usually look like these slow, calculated ambushes, there are moments when it turns into a full sprint chase. When that happens, these wild cats kick in their long, spring-like legs and can reach speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. With a maximum weight of only about 35 pounds, their lightweight bodies give them extreme control and agility, letting them cut, twist, and maneuver with ease mid-run. So much so that they can literally launch themselves over 11 feet vertically and leap from one rock to another up to 30 feet apart in a single bound, making them one of the most agile big cats out there. This is a wild sheep called mouflon. In its home range of steep, rocky mountains and cliffs, it is one of the fastest bovids, reaching speeds of up to 37 miles per hour, and outrunning almost every predator on rocky terrain. Sadly, this Iberian lynx won't be one of them. The stealthy feline uses its low-profile body to blend into the tall grass and stalks the sheep from the rocks below, before beginning a calculated chase. Using its extremely flexible and explosive frame, it quite literally flies across the rocks, catching up with the prey in no time, which will sustain it for several weeks. In high-stakes pursuits like these, where the terrain favors the prey more than the cat, its bright yellowish to tawny spotted fur provides a major advantage in camouflage. Like human fingerprints, the spots on its fur are completely unique to each individual and can be used to recognize and track their movements. On October 22, 2025, a camera trap in southern Spain, set up by photographer Angel Hidalgo, caught something no one had captured before. Looking straight into the camera, this was the first time ever a white Iberian lynx was recorded on video. As the footage got out and started making rounds, people went straight for the usual explanations of leucism and albinism, where animals turned fully or partially white because of the normal darkening pigments in their bodies being missing. But experts later ruled that both of those conditions were not the cause, suggesting instead that the lynx might have developed some kind of hypersensitivity to environmental factors, temporarily affecting its color. That idea gained more weight when wildlife conservationists working in the same region told the press that they had seen another white lynx before, likely related to this one, that had also turned pale for a while after some unknown trigger, and then eventually shifted back to its normal coloration. Because it's so recent, this phenomenon is still barely studied, kind of like the elusive cats themselves. But that's because these felines rarely cross paths with researchers, and for a long time they were known as the rarest cat in the world. From the late 90s all the way into the early years of the 21st century, the global population of Iberian lynxes saw a dramatic decline in numbers. And while the typical triggers like habitat destruction and hunting were also at play, the main pressure point was the more than normal reliance of these wild cats on only one prey, European rabbits. Now, experts have recorded them taking other animals too, like the previously mentioned sheep, small deer, and some birds, but across their range, rabbits dominate their diet almost all the time. The reason is that these lagomorphs are available year-round and match the lynx's energy needs perfectly, where one rabbit a day is usually enough for a lynx to get by without overexerting itself or storing excess food. Over time, this dependence has gone so deep that even its digestive system is adapted to rabbits too. The result is the data we see that 9 times out of 10, when a lynx goes on a hunt, the prey is usually a European rabbit. However, this is exactly where all the risk comes into. Rabbit populations in the Iberian region are extremely fragile and can crash fast due to diseases like myxomatosis and hemorrhagic outbreaks. That's what happened in the 90s when rabbit numbers collapsed across large areas, dropping by as much as 90% in just a few years. With food gone, the lynx population followed, and by 2001, only around 62 individuals were left in the wild, making it the rarest feline of its time. But this was also the time when one of the most incredible conservation efforts in modern history took place, bringing back a species that was close to being wiped out. Across its range, wildlife authorities stepped in and rebuilt its habitat from the ground up, restored natural prey populations, especially rabbits, and set up breeding centers where genetically diverse individuals were carefully raised and then released back into the wild over several years. Not only that, strict laws and heavy penalties were introduced against illegal hunting and trade, and all of it together pulled the numbers back from under 100 to more than 2,400 individuals today, and still slowly rising, though it remains classified as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. These efforts also created safer, more stable conditions for the already surviving individuals to actually live their full lifespans of up to around 13 years, something that would have been rare before due to constant food shortages and survival pressure. In its natural habitat, both males and females reach reproductive age at around 1 year, but many don't actually breed until 3 to 5 years if they haven't secured a territory. Once established, a male may mate with several females during the breeding season, which runs roughly from January to July. After mating, the female gives birth following about 60 days of gestation, usually to 2 to 3 blind kittens. Speaking of mating, though, what the hell are these guys doing? Apparently this is a fight over a mate, but, like, why are you headbutting like rams, man? You're killers. Use some claws, some canines. Be ruthless. Or don't, I guess. There aren't that many of you left anyways, you know what I mean? Kabam! Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.